On launching a fresh round of strikes tonight. You can see them streaming through the night sky over Tel Aviv, explosions rattling the city. Take a look at this video taken from a balcony showing smoke billowing from the ground right after a strike. Most missiles intercepted, but debris raining down, causing damage and injuries. This retaliation coming after Israel struck more than 200 targets overnight, including 2 key Iranian nuclear sites, taking out some of Iran's top military leaders and scientists. U.S. markets shaken, the Dow falling more than 700 points. President Trump telling NBC News today Iran may have another opportunity now to make a nuclear deal. We've got full coverage, starting with Matt Bradley tonight, live in Tel Aviv.
Tonight, waves of Iranian missiles targeting Israel. You can see Israeli air defenders take out most of them in the night sky. But some landed. This impact in Tel Aviv. Smoke rising in the city's center. Earlier, Israeli officials texted warnings to take cover.
What we are hearing right now is what it's called an extreme alert. We are being told to move now to a secure place. So we just got down to the safe room here in our office building. We've been hearing outgoing missile defense and incoming explosions from those Iranian rockets, most of them interceptions.
The U.S. is helping Israel shoot down Iranian missiles, according to 3 U.S. officials. The Pentagon moved a number of military assets, including Navy destroyers, to the region in recent days to defend Israel, according to another U.S. official. Well, tonight, Israel says the Iranian regime crossed a red line and will pay a heavy price for firing into civilian population centers. The Iranian retaliation coming just hours after Israel's surprise strikes on nuclear sites and military leadership inside Iran. Smoke rising above Natanz, an Iranian nuclear facility. Israel saying the operation, dubbed Rising Lion, killed Iranian nuclear scientists and generals, including Hossein Salami, commander of the Revolutionary Guard. Israel saying Iran's nuclear program posed a clear and present danger, and Iran had enough enriched uranium to build 15 nuclear bombs.
I want to assure the civilized world, we will not let the world's most dangerous regime get the world's most dangerous weapons.
According to multiple Israeli outlets citing an anonymous source, the Mossad spy agency smuggled missiles into Iran months ago, and also secretly installed explosive drones inside Iran for this operation. Meanwhile, President Trump tonight meeting with his national security officials. In a phone interview with NBC's Garrett Haake this morning, the president saying he was pleased with the Israeli strikes against Iran, that Israel had the finest equipment in the world, which is American equipment, and that the Iranian government missed the opportunity to make a deal. Now, they may have another opportunity. We'll see. The U.S. has recently been negotiating with Iran over its nuclear program. The U.S. considers Iran a state sponsor of terrorism, and President Trump has repeatedly said he will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon.
They can't have a nuclear weapon.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, and worship unto Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachakodash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutations unto you, Achim, upholding the testimony of our Lord and Savior, Yahushai, in truth and in sincerity. All right, we see biblical prophecy coming to pass right before our eyes. All right, the Amalekites, which are the so-called small, well, they are the small hats. They wear small hats, but the Israeli regime and the Israelis, their biblical nationality are Amalekites, which are descendants of Edomites. They do not descend from Jacob. They're not Israelites, but they essentially converted to Judaism. All right. And it's a lot of history behind that, but ethnically, they're not the Israelites. But what they're doing is, all right, they are trying to take back the birthright, all right, that was given to Jacob. Their birthright is the blessing of the sword. Them, as well as the other Edomites, which essentially the beast nation, the beast system, which is the EU and NATO, all right, according to the Bible. All right. But the thing is, they are the ones that are going to be responsible for bringing forth World War III. That's according to biblical prophecy. All right. The Israelis. All right. This is the book of Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, the 20th verse. Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom. All right. And the Edomites are the NATO EU nations. All right. And the Israelis, they are Edomites. It says, and his purpose that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman, which the Temanites, they represent the most wise. When you go into it, they're the Germans, but they represent the scientists and the warlocks, the elite. It's a representation of the scientists, of the nuclear scientists, so on and so forth, of the Edomite people. All right, that Teman is a representation of them. All right, it says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. And who is the least of the flock? The Israelis. They are the least of the flock. Okay, and they're drawing everybody out to World War III. It says, surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. Right, they're going to draw the Americans out to World War III to fight against Iran and Russia. And they're going to make America be destroyed with missiles just like they are. It says the earth is moved at the noise of their fall. Why? Because they are destroyed by thermonuclear missiles. That's the noise. It says, at the cry of the noise thereof was heard in the Red Sea. Right, because Iran is going to shoot missiles on the state of Israel, which those missiles are going to be heard in the Red Sea. All right. All right. So let's go to so what we see here taking place is Israel versus Iran, or the Amalekites versus the Elamites, which the Iranians, they descend from the Persians, which the Persians biblically are descendants of Elam. All right. So it's basically the Edomites versus the Elamites. Now, yes, the East Indians and the Pakistanis, those are also Elamites, but the Iranians are the most, how do I say? They're the ones that's going head first against the Amalekites. All right. They're the Western Elamites. All right. I'm speaking of geography. I'm not talking about philosophy as the Western world, but they are the Elamites of the West. All right, because they are the one that border the Middle East. They are the ones that are in the vicinity of Jehoshaphat. Okay, and so it's about geopolitics. Okay. So let's go to prophecy. 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter, 30th verse. It says, also the Carmanians, which the Carmanians are the Iranians, they're the Persians. Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. And that has not yet taken place, but that will take place. The Carmanians, all right, are the Persians. They're going to come forth from a military perspective in great wrath. You know, it's a lot of arsenal. It's a lot of stuff they got up their sleeve. They have not yet shown. A lot of stuff is still in the sheath, if you understand. A lot of those arrows are still in the quiver, and they will be relinquished. They will be shot. Those armies, those tanks, they will fly through the Levant. All right, you have the Hezbollah. They have a large missile arsenal. They have many warriors. You got those different Shiite militias in the Iraq and Yemen. Then you're going to have a lot of other Muslim Sunnis that's going to fight with the Iranians against the Israelis. All right, when it's all said and done. So it says, also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. All right. And that's twofold. All right. Because Iranians have missiles to shoot over in America because America's spiritual Assyria. All right. And also you have the land of Assyria or Syria. All right. Which includes Israel. All right. They're going to waste Israel. All right. Lebanon, all that's included in the land of Assyria. All right. Okay, so let's prove that the Carmanians are the Iranians. All right, Carmania, all right. In ancient Greek was that Carmania. Then you have the cuneiform of the Old Persian, Middle Persian, Kirman. All right, it says is a historical region that approximately corresponds to the current province of Kerman, Iran, and was a province of many Iranic empires such as the Medes, Achaemenid, Seleucid, Parthian, and Sassanid Empire. All right. Now, the Achaemenids were actual Persian people. The Medes were not Persian, but they ruled that land at one point. All right, before the Achaemenid Empire. Okay, right. But you had the Medo-Persian Empire. All right. Then you had the Seleucid, which were Greeks, were Edomites who conquered that land. All right. You had the Parthians, which were a later Iranian empire that came after. I believe that was during the Romans' time. And then you had the Sassanid, which was Iran. It was a Persian ethnic empire. Okay, during the time of the CE era, during the Islamic era, early Islamic period. All right, it says the region bordered Persia proper and the Persian Gulf in the west. All right, so this is talking about Iran. When it says the Carmanians in prophecy, that's talking about Iran. Okay, so we understand that. So let's go to Ezekiel. That's why we got to be on our watch, because these prophecies are coming to pass and Yahweh Shah is about to return. All right, Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. All right. No, not the 37th chapter, the 38th chapter. All right. All right. So the first few verses is talking about Russia when it speaks about Magog and God, well, the land of Magog, which that's going into Russia. All right. No, the Russians don't descend from God, but they control that landmass in that proximity of ancient God. That's what it's talking about. All right. Verse 4, it says, and I will turn thee back, meaning the Lord's going to turn the Russians back from the Soviet Union falling and bring the Russians back into being a war state to fight against America. All right, it says, and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine armies, horses and horsemen. It's talking about modern military hardware. It says, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. What's the first nation to be mentioned as an ally to Russia? Verse 5, Persia. Which Persia are the Iranians? That's the very first nation to be mentioned. All right, it says Ethiopia and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, which Gomer is speaking of Turkey. It says in all of his bands, that's the Eurasian steppe countries, the different Turco countries, Turkmenistan, Azerbaijan, these different Turk affiliated nations. Muslim Brotherhood, because they're controlled by Turkey. All right. It says, and the house of Tokrama, it says, of the north quarters and all his bands. All right. It says, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepared for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Russia is going to be a guard unto these nations. Russia is about to supply Iran with more S-400 and S-500 missile defense systems. All right. And Russia is not going to allow America and Israel to destroy Iran. Russia is going to step in and intervene. All right. And that's what's going to cause Israel to be destroyed off the earth. And America is also going to be destroyed off the earth through thermonuclear missiles. What do you think Russia? What's going to happen if America and Russia go head to head? What you think going to happen? Huh? With the proud, arrogant idiots in America, they're going to try to jump into some bunkers or go to South America, and you American people are going to be fried, deep fried. This is not a game. This is biblical prophecy. Stop being stupid. Anyway, let's keep reading. It says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So indeed, they will be a guard unto the Persians and these other different nations. All right. Because geopolitically, Turkey cannot align with American Israel. The Turk population will overthrow their government if they did try to do that. So if their government try to align with Israel when this stuff get real bad, their people are going to overthrow their government. They have to fight with the Russians. They have to fight. You're going to have to choose a side. These nations are going to be forced to choose a side. Nobody is going to want to fight with the Americans and fight with the Israelis in World War III. Nobody's going to want to fight with them. Nobody. They're going to be on their own. That giving all praises to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Shalom.